Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And before we get into it, I want to cut to a web page, and I'm going to talk through a very, very short section of that web page because it is very relevant to the story we're about to discuss. Here we go. Right, so here we are at the web page of HMM Government's laws, and you've got this, it's the National Archives page, but in it is the Equality Act 2010. Now, just to show you, we're not going to go through the whole thing because it's incredibly long. What we are discussing, though, is one very, very small but yet important section. Is up here. It's in the second part, part 2, Equality Key Concepts, here. Chapter 1 of that is the Protected Characteristics, and section 10 is Religion or Belief, and we're going to click on Religion or Belief. Section 2. Now this is the very important section. Belief means any religious or philosophical belief, and a reference to belief includes a reference to a lack of belief. That line itself is probably one of the most important written in this day and age. Now, so long as we all understand that, we can move on to the main point of this story, because that is the nub of the matter and is why the police have got it wrong yet again. Yes, it's one of those videos again, one of the police are not your friends videos, because if you believe that a trans woman is actually a man, the police may do to you what they did to Caroline Farrow in Surrey. They'll come to your house without a warrant, smash your door down, arrest you in front of your children and haul you up because they think that you have broken the laws by expressing an opinion. And it's got to stop. Let's look at this article. The moment the police with no search warrants swooped on house of gender-critical Catholic mother and arrested her in front of her 4 children over a series of anonymous posts on an internet chat board. Mother of 5, Caroline Farrow, has been arrested in her home over online posts she put on Twitter this week. The journalist and mother was arrested on Monday by Surrey Police over the web content in Guildford home. She said 2 police officers arrived, forced their way in to accuse her of malicious content and harassing others. But the mother of 5 and journalist has strenuously denied the allegations and says the police were wrong. The police absolutely are wrong. There is no reason for the police coming to be there to interrupt a Twitter spat instead of doing their damn jobs. Somebody can hold a belief and it is not a crime. This is the moment a gender-critical Catholic mother was arrested in her home in front of her children and body searched after police swooped on her house over a series of malicious online posts. Doing this with no entry warrant, no arrest warrant. What is wrong with these people? Caroline Farrow, a vicar's wife and mother of 5, shared a lengthy thread on Twitter detailing her experience with Surrey Police after 2 police officers reportedly forced their way into her home to arrest her on Monday night. This is what the police do now. Oh, we must protect the trans. We can't actually protect you from muggers or arists or people who would want to M you. But you know what? We're going to stop you saying what you think. We're going to stop you having an expression of free speech because we don't like it, because you might upset the trans lobby, who are the single most important thing to the police in this country. While in the middle of preparing a roast dinner for her priest husband Robin and 5 children on Sunday, 2 police officers are said to have demanded she join them for an interview under caution. When she said, "Do you have to have a warrant?" Mrs. Farrow claimed they replied, "We don't need one." Actually, yes you do. Photographs show one officer appearing to put his hand on the front door to stop her from closing it, and another shows her being searched outside. The row stems from a series of anonymous posts shared on forums on website Kiwi Farms in June. Mrs. Farrow is accused of posting malicious content and harassing others used in the online platform. A spokesperson for Surrey Police said officers attended the address in Guildford as part of a probe into allegations, so no proof, just allegations of malicious communications and harassment. Perfectly fine, as we've seen, to express your deeply held personal philosophical belief. So these police officers are the secret police employed by the state to clamp down on freedom of expression. We need to be up on the streets against the police because this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable in a democratic society. Mrs. Farrow has strenuously denied the allegations, explaining instead that she was playing the organ during Mass at the Holy Angels Church during the times the posts were made. The police had no proof. The police were acting on allegations, not proof. They hadn't investigated. It's simply like, oh my God, we've got someone who may have said something. We better go down, humiliate them, arrest them, make sure it's done in front of their children so they can be harassed. These cops are scum, every single one of them. This is why I keep saying the police are not your friends. They would do this to a vicar's wife of all people. Now, speaking to GB News last night, Mrs. Farrow said, I've been arrested for what was a Twitter spat about gender issues. She explained how the officers confiscated electronic devices, including some of her husband's parish office next door that her autistic son uses for homeschooling. So there's a picture of them forcing their way in, holding the door so she can't stop it. They don't have an entry warrant. They have zero right of entry, and she would have been perfectly within her right to stop these bastards coming in. And if it had been my house, I damn well would have. These are pigs. These are pigs. And they are hated and they are scum. And now they've arrested her and they're searching her because she holds an opinion that the chief police officers don't like. She has an opinion that actually these weird, fucked up mental... I've calmed down a bit, so I'm going to continue, but who knows. Mrs. Farrow told of how she was taken outside and searched before she was taken to a police station where she was kept for several hours. She said 1 minute I was making dinner for my kids and the next I was having my socks checked. This took up an entire shift. What an absolute waste of police's time. But of course, while they're dicking about, looking at someone who may or may not have said something that they don't like, they can put an entire shift in without getting their fat, lazy arses out of a police station and doing their damn jobs. I was then shown other material that the police were accusing me of sending. None of them were my doing. The police have no proof of this. They were bringing her down, putting her in a cell, searching her, threatening her, doing all this so that she wouldn't crack and admit to these things that they had no proof of. Mrs. Farrow was released under investigation in the early hours of Monday morning, so kept there all this time simply for an opinion and then believed to have said something that they have no proof of. Mrs. Farrow later shared images purportedly showing her being frisked by officers in her driveway. We've seen the pictures. They're not purported to, they are. Claimed her electronic devices were seized, and I bet they were, and that she had to surrender her jewellery before being interviewed at a police station in Guildford. Why are the police like this? Why are they harassing innocent people at the behest of the tiny 0.1% of mentally ill weirdos and their fellow travellers and hangers-on? Farrow, who works at the UK and Ireland Director of Catholic Campaigning website Citizen Go, said the whole ordeal had left her feeling harassed and anxious. Let me tell you, you can be as insulting as you like. Insulting people is not a crime, right? And these mentally ill weirdos seem to think it is. And now they've convinced the police to arrest innocent people because they're hurty fee-fees, because someone says something they don't like. Well, tough shit. She said it's scary that the police can take someone's word for something and just come around and arrest you. They can't. They have to have proof. And they can't just come into your house and arrest you like that without a warrant. You were not given a warrant. They had no entry warrant. They didn't have an arrest warrant. They had zero rights. Mrs. Farrow, who once complained of her life being invaded and dominated by insane trans rights activists, well, because they are insane, has previously been publicly supported by Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling. God bless her. Now, Mrs. Farrow was investigated by the same police force, and that's actually at the nub of the matter, isn't it? She did something 2-3 years ago, and they didn't like it, so they're going to go out to get her. I did a video yesterday, about the police fitting up a woman for the death of her child, and now they're trying to fit up a vicar's wife because she dares to have an opinion that the weirdos don't king like. The Catholic campaigner, known for her deeply held religious views, and Susie Green, now we'll get to her, the head of transgender children's charity Mermaids, clashed on ITV's Good Morning Britain about Girl Guides allowing children who have changed gender to join the organisation. Mrs Farrow later called Mrs Green's daughter Jackie him because he's a boy. 5 weeks later, Mrs Green complained to the police. So let me explain about this Mrs Green, and I'm going to put a video about this in the link. Mrs Green is an IT consultant, not medical. She runs a charity, and we're going to use the word charity quite wrongly, that promotes the abuse of children, that sends devices, chest flattening devices out to children without their parents' consent, advises on these children to go and get medicated, and whose own mentally ill son was so convinced that he needed to be a girl that she took him out of the country to avoid the safeguards in this country so that he could be medicated in Thailand. And it gets worse than that, because this charity has just had to fire one of the trustees, who now represents in America an organisation, we've got to be careful how I put this, let's just say an organisation that's very keen to promote the very special relationships between adults and very young people. You know what I mean, the P's. Her organisation's trustee is pro-P. She pushes the mutilation and sterilisation of children. How dare she complains because somebody called her son a he. Her son is a he. He's biologically a he. He has a prostate. I don't care what that mad woman has done to that son, taken him abroad, mutilated him, sterilised him. That's unimportant. She is mentally ill. She's as mentally ill as her son. And then she's complaining that someone else says something. Well, tough shit. Indeed, Mrs Farrow's tweets read, what she did to her own son, who was the youngest person in the world to undergo transgender surgery, is illegal. She mutilated him by having him rendered sterile while he was a child. This is exactly the sort of thing they did in the likes of Dachau. This is the sort of people you're dealing with. They want to sterilise children, and they employ P's, and yet they want us to give them respect. Well, they get no respect. They are the most evil, insidious, cancerous, loathsome insects in the world. My personal opinion is that they are scum. They aren't even the scrapings of my boot when they do this to children. Anyway, getting back, a 4-month police investigation into Mrs Farrow, which prompted much controversy when made public, was hastily dropped as it hurtled towards a full-blown fiasco. In other words, the police were told to drop it because they realised they were really on the wrong side and that public opinion would be so detrimental to how people see them that they said, oh, fuck me, no, we're stopping. Well, let me tell you, the people already know what the police are like, and now this is going on. Let me tell you, the police don't have to worry about how people see them, because people see the police for exactly what they are. A spokesman for Surrey Police said on Monday, October the 3rd, officers attended an address in the Guildford area as part of an investigation into allegations, and they are even admitting it themselves, of malicious communications. What this is simply, oh, we don't like you threatening or saying anything against our chosen lords and masters, the trans lobby. Well, policemen and policewomen everywhere, you are shameful, you are anti-democratic, you do not deserve to wear the uniform, you need to all quit because you're all guilty, because not one of you ever stands up and blows the whistle. You're scum. Every single one-man jack of you is scum. And I can't go on with it. I'm going to come up because it's just getting me angry again. So this is where we are. We have a fascist regime who will fit you up one way or another. They failed 3 years ago, but they're going to have another go. And this time at the behest of an organisation that destroys the lives of children and is backed by someone who supports the P's. Well, good luck to her. I hope she sues them and takes them to the cleaners. But the police are desperate not to be seen for what they are. They are disgusting. And let us face it, there's 15,000 girls up and down this country who know exactly what the police are. In fact, we all know exactly what the police are. And it's far too late to change them. They need to be disbanded, and we start from scratch with people who aren't as bad as this. It'll be hard, but I'm sure we can try. Thanks for listening. I'm sorry it went on for so long. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications. I am not often this angry, but this time I was. So please, if you liked it, hit the like button. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, speak your mind and believe what you do believe. And goodbye.